For technical candidates, what is more advantageous, knowing the tech or the industry? For example, you might have experience as a programmer, but not as a programmer in banking. Look, the only real question is, can you do the job? And for most people, the answer is going to be yes. You know, like, okay, I've never done programming in banking, okay? So maybe there's a little learning curve, maybe, you know, a couple months or a few weeks, you know, till I learn their systems and I learn their practices and, you know, all the regulatory crap that might be there. Like, I don't know. But like, come on, I know how to program. I'm an experienced developer. I've developed apps. I've developed ERP systems. I've, you know, done customer support for like industrial, you know, commercial software. Like, I know my stuff. Just because I've never worked in banking before. I mean, I don't think that's going to result in me like not being able to do this job. You know what I mean? So can you do it or not? And if the answer is yes, questions like this don't matter. You can neutralize all of this, Gabriel, by approaching the hiring manager and making a good impression. You know, giving them the impression that, like, you know, nah, you got it covered and you're great to deal with, and they'll hire you in the absence of anyone making an even better impression on them. You see, these questions are bullshit, and they're the reason why we wonder about crap like this is because we've got recruiters falsely convincing us that this is like a real thing. It's like a real issue. Like, for example, let's say, you know, you are an aircraft maintenance technician. You work on fighter jets. You fix them, right? Now, you've worked for 10 years repairing fighter jet aircraft at air bases on land. And then you apply for a job where you have to do this on an aircraft carrier. So like, okay, you're still working on the same equipment. You're working on these fighter jets, only this time, instead of being on land, they're on an aircraft carrier. Now, yes, there's probably a little bit of a learning curve to learn when you're operating on an aircraft carrier. You know, like there's rules and safety things and stuff that are different. So yes, but like, can you do the job? Of course. You know, within 3 weeks, you'll learn the rules and the peculiarities of how you operate on an aircraft carrier. You know, when this alarm goes off, you know, that means this. And when that alarm goes off, it means you got to run over there. You know, you can figure that out within a couple of weeks, and then you can just do your job. You know what I mean? But recruiters have people thinking like, oh no, if you've never worked on an aircraft carrier before, how could you possibly know what to do? It's because they're can't-do type people who don't understand the jobs that they're recruiting for. So to them, these seem like major hurdles, when to someone who's actually understands this work, they know that it's trivia, it's details, you know? Like, you can ask these kinds of questions ad nauseum. You could say like, okay, you're a fully qualified medical doctor. Okay, fair enough, right? Oh, and you are a surgeon. You are a brain surgeon. Okay, great, excellent. But have you ever worked in India before? Ah, you see there? How could you possibly know what to do for this brain surgery job in India? It's like, it's stupid. Just stupid. You know, presumably somebody who has the brains and the work ethic and the memory to get qualified as a doctor and a surgeon and a brain surgeon would be able to overcome the idiosyncrasies of doing that in India. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But you try and convince a recruiter of this, it'll probably be a pretty tall order. At least that's what I've seen. Okay, now, hey, this is a big world. Everything happens some of the time, but that's been my experiences. That's what I've noticed in some of these people. You know, they'll always throw up some hypothetical thing. And the problem is, it's like, if somebody brings up an objection like this in a job interview, how do you disprove them in a job interview? The only way to really disprove them would be to show them, look, I've done it. But in the absence of that, how would you convince them it's not going to be a problem? It's like, you can't. You have to think of some fancy, seemingly logical argument to, like, you know, illustrate that you can. But at the end of the day, you can't prove anything. So if this person just believes that, like, well, moving to India and doing it in India is just too hard, even if they're completely wrong, which they usually are, there's nothing you can say to convince them. That's why it's best to go to the hiring manager, which would presumably be the person that the surgeons report to. So the head of surgery at a hospital in India, you talk to that person. Let's say you can communicate well. They like you. They see you know your stuff. They would just say, yeah, you seem like you could hack it. You've done brain surgery in the United States or in Canada or in the EU or whatever. Yeah, you could probably do this. We have no communication issues. So, yeah. That's why I would if I was a candidate, I'd want to stop talking to recruiters and talk exclusively to hiring managers. Because then you can talk shop and then they can see your worth instead of throwing up stupid questions like this, which aren't even a thing. So I don't want to go too hard on you, Gabriel. You're asking a very good question, but this is the example of something that I think is very negative. If you know your stuff, you're going to be fine. There's going to be a learning curve wherever you work. And a lot of things are just like, within a couple of weeks, you got it down. It's not this big deal that everybody thinks it is. Everybody being people who don't actually do it.